What's up, guys? It's the Four Horsemen Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Josh Romine. With me tonight, I have Alex Devaney Stoner and Brent Walker. How are you guys doing?
What's
Good.
up? Hi.
If you're not watching the live stream, Alex is being very, very creepy.
Hey, you forgot to announce Van Cleve.
Who? Who am I talking about?
There's this one guy that we started doing this podcast with, but he needs to get a proper 8 to 9 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I understand he has 2 children. However, I think most individuals can work off about 5 hours of sleep. But unfortunately, I mean, that shit has to move. And I'm not talking about like shit in general. I'm talking about actual shit. It needs to move. And he's out there dressed as Colonel Sanders, making sure that moves.
We miss the guy. Maybe someday we're gonna have him on again. Maybe he can be a guest on our show at sometime in the future. But
I cry myself to sleep.
We're gonna do rookie wide receivers. Finally, we've been talking about doing it for a month now, I think, something like that. So
I'm really excited about. I mean, this would have been a perfect podcast for VC to make it, because he always overvalues these kind of guys.
Yes.
Malcolm Mitchell just jumps right out. Like, I mean, one of the most worthless players that has ever walked the face of the earth.
Easy.
And I mean, just VC, just, I mean, like a bowl of cereal. Like it just
easy with the Malcolm Mitchell talk, man. Don't put him down like that. But you're right. It would have been nice to have him, but we did get him to fill out at least the top 12 for rookie wide receivers. Yeah. So, we can tear that apart and talk all the trash we want about him, and there's nothing he can do about it.
His isn't too bad.
No, it's pretty.
I was looking at it and I was like, that's pretty solid.
It's pretty chalky, and whatever. We'll talk about the differences in all of ours. I like Brent's, but let's get right into it. Do you guys want to talk about anything else other than that, or do you just want to get right into the rookies? There's not a ton of news going on, so
I mean, yeah, I don't know. This is that quiet time before camps open up. And so you're just kind of like sitting back and waiting for anything to happen. And it never does.
Everything's like hella coach speak right now. Like the worst coach speak. So everybody's in the best shape of their lives. Everybody looks better than they've ever looked. So I don't even like talking about it.
And then in a month, Kelvin Benjamin's going to show up 100 pounds overweight. So somehow, some way, they go from peak physical condition into a garbage heap in a month. I mean, I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I mean that does happen. But we picked some of ours, like some of our rankings. We picked our guys, just a couple of them. Alex, I think that was your idea. We've done it in the past where we've done like my guy episodes, and out of the rookie wide receivers, there's a few people that jump out. Just looking at our rankings, Alex, you have Calvin Ridley, number 1. Kind of before the draft, Ridley was the number 1 easily, just in almost everybody's rankings. And after the draft, it changed a little bit, but you still like Ridley, number 1?
Yeah. I mean, to be completely honest, I think that he is landing in an amazing spot. There's not a true number 2 in Atlanta. And you have to double cover Julio Jones. That's just how it is. And the problem they have had is that they just haven't had the talent. After Roddy White left, they just haven't had the talent on that other side. And so that's where they're going to have to, get somebody in there. Now, he's not a big guy. He's only 6'1", and he's only 189 pounds. That might hinder him. That might be a problem.
I don't know. Only 6'1", like
9 pounds.
That's a little small, but you can beef up a little
small.
bit. He still has the frame. Like 6'1's not too tiny. Like it's not huge by any means, but like it's not like he's going to get overpowered.
No. I guess what I'm looking at is when one of the things that when you're a rookie you're kind of looking at is hopefully getting some touchdowns. I don't think that he gets, and I mean Granted, Julio Jones doesn't get him either, but I don't see him getting a lot of touchdowns because of how small he is. He's not going to be a red zone guy, so he's going to lose out on those reps simply because of how small he is overall. I think I would really like him to be like 215, to be completely honest.
Sure. Brent, you have him number 2.
Well, I mean, if he starts hanging out with Kelvin Benjamin, he should gain plenty of weight. But yeah, I have him as my number 2 ranked wide receiver, and I mean, it was kind of splitting hairs between 1 and 2 for me. But I with Calvin Ridley, I don't think he'll ever be a true number 1. I don't hate the situation that he went to in Atlanta, but I don't like it either. I think Julio is going to get his target share like usual. Mohamed Sanu is still there. Ridley coming in as a rookie. He's probably going to be there in 3 wide sets, but he just reminds me of like a Treadwell type player.
Oh,
like what do you mean?
Wow.
I don't know. Like
wow.
So his skill set reminds me of a Treadwell, but maybe he's going to a better situation.
Wait, are we talking
be utilized a little better? I don't know.
Are we talking Treadwell before the draft or Treadwell first year on Minnesota 1 catch?
Well, we're going to find out, won't we? But
wow,
I just see him as a polished possession style wide receiver that has good hands. He doesn't have great speed. I mean, he's undersized, like you said, and usually the undersized wide receivers are a lot faster.
Yeah.
So he just reminds me a lot coming into the NFL like a very Laquan Treadwell type of player. We will see based on the situation if he's better than Treadwell, hopefully.
I mean, I just want to put out there, I have enormous problems with all of like the top 5 wide receivers, maybe even dipping down into like 5 or 6. Like these are not studs. I don't think there's a stud in here. Brent, I don't know if you wanted to get to this or not, but like when I look at this class, I just am like filler players. That's all I see are filler players.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like it is. Like I don't think there's going to be any clear-cut number 1 wide receiver that comes out of this class this year. Maybe in the future, if something happens in free agency, people getting dropped, whatever, but maybe these guys rise to the occasion. But this whole class, I feel like in about 3-4 years, we're going to be like, this is a great slot receiver class. I feel like this is a great number 3 wide receiver class that with your Randall Cobb type players, your Julian Edelman type players, guys that'll rise to the occasion and really perform well out of the slot. That's my impression. There's a lot of guys in this class that I love for in about 2, 3, 4 years that could really rise to that occasion, I think.
Yeah, and all of our rankings that we're going to be talking about tonight are dynasty based. Like, obviously, you got to weigh in what they're going to do a little bit the first year, but for the most part, these are all dynasty rankings. So it's yes.
Oh, sorry. All I was going to say is, I mean, because I said something about Calvin Ridley, but we've got 2 people that have Anthony Miller, and then you, Romine, have DJ Moore, and like. Again, I have enormous problems with both of those guys, but exactly the same as I do. Like, I could really mix up these top guys and just kind of like throw them out there. Honestly.
Well, I wanted to ask Brent, like, Anthony Miller is very popular right now, like out of this draft class. Cause like you said, it's kind of jumbled up a little bit. He is kind of a guy that started to rise towards the top, and Brent, you and Van Cleef both had him number 1. What went into your decision-making on that?
I just really love his situation going forward with a young quarterback, new coach, new offense, all this new talent coming into Chicago. And I think he's immediately going to be a contributor. I already think he's a better talent, I think, than Taylor Gabriel. If you put him in the slot, next to Allen Robinson, next to Trey Burton, Adam Shaheen, Trubisky, he's an accurate thrower. I just think he could thrive in a system like that. And, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Tariq Cohen could be that Tyreek Hill style player for Matt Nagy's offense, but I think Anthony Miller could thrive. And
See, honestly, my issue with Anthony Miller is not so much with Anthony Miller. It's that there are actually a lot of mediocre players on the Bears that will cut into his shares. So if he is really good, then that might be. But there's just so many players that they're going to try to get the ball to. And you still have a second-year player who showed flashes toward the end, but we're still trying to figure out, okay, is this a good team? Is this a good offense in the next coming years? We don't know. And I wouldn't want to invest to get him to be the number one wide receiver. And like that, I don't know. I just don't know where he fits into that offense. Is he a number one? He's kind of small. So kind of what Brent was saying, he's kind of an in between the tackles. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean the Bears traded up to get him. I think he was taken in the second round. So there's some draft capital there. And Bears brought in Allen Robinson, but like you said, there's a lot of pieces kind of behind them, like Trey Burton, and there are some other weapons, but I think there's the chance that he could kind of rise to the top if the Bears offense kind of elevates like everybody thinks it's going to. But I also think that people look at what the Rams did last year and what a coaching change could do, and they're almost assuming that it's going to happen with the Bears. It's a big assumption.
And how many? Okay, we got burned 2 years ago with Cleveland. We got burned last year with Tennessee and Tampa Bay. I mean, those teams that are overly hyped because of how many new pieces they have, and that's usually the downfall. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, like, there's been a lot of Tariq Cohen talk, and I think it's very bizarre because after the first week of the season, he was nothing. So why all of a sudden are we supposed to assume that this super tiny guy is going to emerge as like a fantasy relevant guy?
Yeah, he's small.
He's Darren Sproles small, and not everybody's Darren Sproles.
Right. I mean, if you watched any of his tape from last year, he did show that he can do it. It's just
90% of his tape is that first game.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even have that many receptions. Like, I don't understand why all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a main fixture. And then everybody starts talking about him like he's going to be Darren Sproles. It's like, I don't know. That offense seems tantalizing, but I think it's going to be Tennessee and Tampa Bay versus it being the Rams. I think it's going to be closer to the other.
Yeah, Cohen had 53 catches last year. I mean, that's not bad.
Oh, he did? Oh, geez. What was his total reception yardage?
He had 53 receptions for 350 yards and 1 touchdown, which was
I guess that's a little bit part of that's kind of a low
yardage.
Like yardage. Yeah, I thought that I saw. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, the receptions are there, but he needs to get the yardage way up.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just don't know if that really even affects Anthony Miller at all, Brent. Just to have him number one just seems crazy because I really like Anthony Miller, and I think that there's a chance for him to do good in that offense, but I have him ranked 5th overall in this rookie class, and maybe that's – no, 4th. I'm 4th. But I have DJ Moore just because I really like DJ Moore's play style. He's coming out of Maryland, which – they produced Stephon Diggs, who I still am in love with this year. And I think this is the year for Stephon Diggs. We'll get to that in later podcasts. But DJ Moore was the first wide receiver taken off the board, right? 24th.
How many bets can I put Stephon Diggs into so that I make sure that I get another meal? That's all I have to ask.
I mean, we can definitely do one because I don't know what it's going to take for you. But
I don't know.
I like him, but we're talking about DJ Moore here, and going to Carolina, not the best situation with Cam Newton, but they have Devin Funchess. Like, I feel like there's an opportunity for him to see a lot of targets and have like immediate value as well as a prolonged value if he does good this year, isn't buried, and could continually produce. I just think that you're taking a shot at anything in this wide receiver class. You're just trying to look for the biggest upside and see where you think it could come from.
Yeah, I agree with that. My big problem with DJ Moore, you kind of hinted at it, is just the Panthers. Like, outside of Kelvin Benjamin's one season, we haven't had anybody like really break out in the wide receiver position. Like steady, something. So I'm not looking at, and obviously Newton's not going anywhere. So I'm not looking at DJ Moore dynasty wise as somebody I really want to take a look at, because his situation isn't going to get better. Like, it's not all of a sudden going to be, where he's getting 90 catches for, 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's never going to happen. I just don't see it.
I mean, it could happen. You just don't think it's likely.
I don't think it's likely.
I don't think with a Cam Newton-led offense, he runs the ball too much. The team rushes the ball too much. I mean, and the touchdown upside, it's all in Cam Newton's hands. Like, I just don't. That's why I have him 4th in my rankings, is because his situation, I hate it. Like, it's not a good situation at all.
Yeah,
I get his upside based on his talent, but he couldn't have gone to a worse team for passing. I would have liked him better on the Jets, on Buffalo, on any of those teams.
Yeah,
Carolina,
that'd be great. Yeah,
I don't know. I think Buffalo's a stretch. They're trash.
So if he's on the Panthers for the next 3, 4, 5 years, let's say, I mean, what's his upside? Maybe wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's his ceiling. To me, is low wide receiver 2 at max. Like, I don't see him being able to climb above that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know if you could say that about any of these guys.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is like, I feel like, I don't know if there's anybody in this draft that has that wide receiver 1 upside. Like, Cortland Sutton was somebody that we talked about before the draft. He went to Denver, kind of stuck behind Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders for at least this year. Brent, you have Sutton ranked number 3. Like, do you think he has that kind of upside, or you think he's just another guy that has wide receiver 2 upside?
Is Brent gone?
Brent, can you hear me?
Say Cortland Sutton?
Yes. I did. Amongst other things.
Should I go?
I'm sorry. I think I'm breaking up. You said Cortland Sutton?
Jesus, yes. Brent. I said Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I like Cortland Sutton.
You want to tell us why? This is the worst right now.
I don't know what's going on with him.
Alex, just talk about him, please.
It's my same situation. And honestly, once we get toward the back of this, these lists, I like the situations of these guys that were drafted in the 4th, 5th rounds better than I do the guys that were drafted in the beginning rounds, because they, like you were saying, were pushed back behind other players. You're looking at Cortland Sutton, a player that, maybe could lead a wide receiving core, is now behind Demaryius Thomas, behind Emmanuel Sanders, and doesn't have a real solid quarterback. And so you got to look at that and say, where is there eventually going to be enough for him? And I think that maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, both those guys are going to be gone. I think that Sanders will be gone and Demaryius will be gone. And so we're going to be looking at a situation that, when you're looking at dynasty, now I have him pushed way down, but he's a part of that first 6 that I just don't see a whole lot of major upside to. But if you hold on to him for a couple of years, maybe he is a top guy. Maybe they finally get their quarterback of the future, because, the magician, what's his name? He looks like a 1980s or an 1880s
Paxton Lynch?
magician. Yeah, Paxton Lynch. Obviously is not anything. I don't even know why they drafted him. But so, we're just kind of waiting on some of these guys. And a lot of times you don't want to sit on rookie wide receivers for 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Like you have Christian Kirk up there, you're number 4 ranked.
Yeah.
Like it's another guy behind, Larry Fitzgerald at least.
Yeah. He's he has probably better opportunity. I just don't love him. He's 5'11". So I'm not excited about, he's not going to be replacing Fitzgerald.
Right.
So you're kind of looking at him as an inside guy. Or is he fast? I can't even remember this guy at all. I don't I look at his face and I get angry.
Wow.
Like when you Google him, the first picture that comes up is this goofy, look, I don't know. There's something about him. I want to get into a fight with him. But then if you look 2 pictures over, there's a mugshot. So I don't know what he did, but obviously he did something. Oh gosh. The combine, well, tell me this is terrible, man.
Yeah.
We've lost one guy, and then I'm trying to get, well, he's 201 pounds. I mean, I feel better about that than what we were talking about with Ridley. I mean, 5'11", close to 6 foot, 200 pounds. So he's going to be able to take a few hits. And he ran a 4.47. So not great, but not
it could
horrible.
be worse.
I would say Christian Kirk's probably the best slot guy in this draft.
Yeah, yeah.
Also behind one of the best slot wide receivers in the NFL.
So it's going to make him better. That's why I like him for dynasty purposes, because next year when Fitz actually retires, Christian Kirk is going to be the slot guy there. And they're going to have a new quarterback. So they're developing this chemistry. And so hopefully that's why I like Kirk also.
Yeah. Well, but I think he's
one of my guys.
See, that's the thing, though, is I think that he's going to end up with probably more actual reps this year than some of the guys that we have ranked ahead of him.
Yep.
Because I think that he's going to see the field much sooner and much more often because I mean, Arizona's kind of thin. They're not packing a big punch anymore. So, that stuff's going to kind of shake out, and I think that he's probably going to see the field in 3 wide receiver sets more often than you would think.
Yeah, and
Did you guys talk about Cortland Sutton?
Oh yeah, we'd love to hear your opinion on him.
Yeah, why don't you let us know what you think about Cortland Sutton?
So the only reason I have him so far up, I have him as my number 3 ranked dynasty wide receiver. Next year, both Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are in contract years.
Yeah,
or I think this year might be it's one of that, but I really don't see them re-signing Emmanuel Sanders. Both guys are like 29 years old now.
Yeah,
it makes sense that they move on from at least one of those guys. And Cortland Sutton has that body type of a Demaryius Thomas. He had comps to Demaryius Thomas going into this draft, and that's why I like him, is because he has that physical style of play. He's a bigger bodied guy. And then the other guy that they drafted was Deshaun Hamilton, and I have him ranked pretty high too. He's one of my guys. I think his comp for me personally was Emmanuel Sanders before the draft. I think it's a natural fit that he's one of those top slot guys that was drafted again, and I think he will fill that role after they move on from Emmanuel Sanders, hopefully.
Yeah, you have Deshaun Hamilton high. I didn't realize you have 9th overall.
Oh, I think he's probably one of the top 3 or 4 slot guys.
Well, and what I was saying about Cortland Sutton was actually similar, that, you're going to, if you stash him, in a couple of years, maybe both of those guys are going to be gone. But then that's kind of, do you see him as a potential, wide receiver 1 that you would want to hang on to for a couple of years?
I think so. I personally do, just because we were saying the same thing about Demaryius Thomas before he finally became that number one wide receiver. And you get a guy like Peyton Manning in there, and he instantly becomes a number one wide receiver. Anything could happen. Like he just has a similar size and skill set as Demaryius Thomas. So that's why I think he's worth the higher ranking for dynasty purposes.
Yeah, I see your point on that. Yeah, for sure.
In redraft, I probably wouldn't draft him at all. But in dynasty, I think he's worth a high draft pick.
Are any of these guys in redraft, like, I mean, maybe you take a flyer on like the top 3 guys here, but I don't think that you draft any of these guys. There's nothing going on here.
Yeah, like I found myself drafting Anthony Miller like late, like last round.
Yeah.
Second last round.
You're going to take a shot on one of these guys in the last couple rounds.
Well, and my number 3 guy is Michael Gallup in Dallas.
I will tell you that this is blinded by rage and hate.
Sure.
I think that they really just are so much coach speak on this guy right now. So much, because they're trying to explain to their fan base why they got rid of Dez Bryant. And you're putting in a guy that they're saying, oh, he's just like Dez Bryant. Well, the problem is that Dez Bryant didn't work with, I just blanked.
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott. So why are we comparing him to the guy that he didn't work with? That's what I don't understand. Like, what's the point? If Dak Prescott can't throw the ball, which he can't,
I mean,
what's the point? No, he cannot.
He can throw it. Like
garbage.
Physically, he can pick up a football and throw it.
Oh, I wish that VC would have been on here so he could sit here and talk about Dak Prescott and how much he just loves Dak Prescott.
But I mean, you talk about guys that should see the field. Gallup should definitely see the field, right?
100%.
Oh yeah, he's got plenty 100%. Of opportunity.
Yep.
There's not much depth on that chart on that roster for wide receiver pass catchers in general.
Yeah,
you lose Jason Witten, Dez Bryant. You re-sign Terrence Williams for some reason. You bring in Alan Hearns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of mediocre players right now. So he has definitely the opportunity. I would rank him pretty high too, just based on opportunity alone.
Yeah, his opportunity is definitely there.
Dallas could be 100%. Pretty terrible this year, don't you think?
Oh God, I hope
they could.
Oh, what I wouldn't give for like a 1-15 season, just an obliteration, like Zeke just flips out on the field. Him and Dak get into a brawl. They have to be pulled apart by the rest of their teammates. It stops the game for 20 minutes. Like that's my dream. That's my dream. I would have that game saved right next to the Super Bowl. That's how big that would be if it just imploded on the field like that. It'd be amazing.
I could see in the world where they're not good this year. I don't know about 1-15 bad, but like I could see them
so delicious.
Definitely regressing. A guy that I have ranked 6th, Brent has ranked 7th, Alex does not have ranked in his top 12 is James Washington.
Yeah, a little shocking.
Yeah, I was a little surprised as well.
Hold on.
Sure. Well, I was going to say, Brent, can you just tell me what you like about James Washington?
I just think he's a playmaker, and he goes to Pittsburgh, and I think he immediately fills the void that Martavis Bryant getting traded to Oakland. I feel like he is the number 2 wide receiver with Juju also in the mix. 3 wide sets. That is a very, very talented offense with Big Ben with a great deep ball. James Washington winning 50-50 balls deep. I really like the future for James Washington.
Yeah, especially this year as well. Like, I think that Bryant getting traded opened up a huge hole right there. And everybody's talking about how good it is for Juju. Like, I think it's great for Washington. He could end up being the top ranked wide receiver of this rookie class this year, I think. I could see it happening.
Yeah, he could.
No. He's not that fast.
He's a playmaker.
He has a decent but he's not that fast. You already have other playmakers.
See, I've heard that same thing.
I'm not. Oh,
like,
go ahead.
Okay, from what I mean, I've heard this on other podcasts too. Like, he did not run a good 40 time, but on the field he plays fast, and you should go watch some videos on him because he looks awesome.
How many? Because he had a ton of deep catches too, right, Brent? Didn't he have like a bunch?
Oh yeah. He
I was trying to find
there was some stat out there where like I think like 50 or 60% of his catches last year in college came 30 yards down the field or more or something. It was ridiculous. He is a downfield threat for sure.
The problem is that he is the number 4 pass catcher on a team. There's absolutely no way that he ends up the number 1 wide receiver out of this class. Literally no chance.
I would bet,
absolutely. Not a chance. Nothing. Like, that's why I don't even have him on
not a top 4.
No. He said top. He had Romine said he has a chance to be the top wide receiver in this class, and I say I'm not saying that he doesn't have skill. I'm not saying that he doesn't have talent. I'm saying that he is behind 3 other guys for catches.
I could see him outscoring Juju on that team. Granted, they have Le'Veon Bell, which he is going to take a lot of pass catches away from those wide receivers. But he's a playmaker, and he has a quarterback that likes to throw the ball a lot.
Okay. So. And what happens when Big Ben is out for 4 games?
Yeah, that's a risk.
I mean, that's the thing. He is so contingent on everything falling into place, just like all these other guys.
So let's go back to what you're saying here. So let's say Big Ben gets hurt. Who's the backup now? Mason Rudolph. That was James Washington's quarterback in college.
That's weird.
Chemistry.
Yeah. That's a little interesting. However, we also thought the exact same thing about Indy when they drafted Luck and what's his hair?
Kobe Fleener?
Yeah. And that was garbage.
Kobe Fleener is
okay, but okay.
And
but
Kobe
Mason
Fleener
Rudolph is not a good quarterback. So I mean, Mason Rudolph, people passed on him forever. He was talked about in the first round, and then what was it? 3rd round, 4th round?
He fell.
I think so.
50th round,
3rd round.
Okay, so I mean, you can look at the same thing. Like, okay, yeah, James Washington is the Andrew Luck of that equation, and then Mason Rudolph is the Kobe Fleener.
So you really don't have him in your top 12, though?
No. I'm not going to put a number.
Okay, so why do you have DJ Shark so high then? Number 7.
Hold on. Seriously, all these names, they're all just garbage. I really give a crap. Hold on. Well, because he's Jacksonville. Because there's nothing. Are you telling me that there is an Antonio Brown in front of DJ Shark?
I'm telling you that there's people in front of DJ Shark.
Are you telling me
there's a lot of people in front of DJ Shark?
I don't think you have to be an Antonio Brown in front of him.
Okay, some of the most who gives a shit players
in a Blake Bortles led offense.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that but the thing is that hold on, I don't know how.
So the Jacksonville depth chart here, you have.
Oh my gosh, he's only 198 pounds.
You have Marquise Lee, you have Dante Moncrief,
don't care.
Dede Westbrook is there.
Don't care.
You have was it Keelan Cole?
Keelan Cole.
Yep. Who emerged last year. So at best, I feel like DJ Shark right now would be maybe 5th, could be 6th on the depth chart. All he really was at the combine, he was the fastest wide receiver. He was the fastest player, I think, to do the 40. That was his only skill, I think.
Is there some coach speak that I can read up or that I could say about him?
The only positive that I see about
he's learning multiple positions.
Wasn't he a 2nd or a 3rd rounder?
I think he was a third, right?
Yeah. So he had pretty high draft capital. That's about it. And he's fast.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Romine.
You talk about people that are buried.
Romine. I'll do it.
What are you going to bet?
Let's do it right now.
DJ Shark or James
versus
Washington?
James Washington?
Let's do it.
Yes, James Washington all day.
Let's do it.
Put it
I love
on
it.
the board.
Oh my goodness.
Doing it.
Watch
I have
me,
to give him
watch
a
me
chance,
lose. Watch me
Brent.
lose that one, Brent. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to lose.
This is what was our one last year? The running backs that is Dalvin Cook versus who was it? You took Dalvin Cook and I took somebody else, and I won luckily by default.
Well, you won by. It wasn't it. Was it? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Keep talking.
Oh gosh, I really like that trade for you, Roman.
P. Ryan. It was P. Ryan.
Yeah,
that's
Samaje.
right. P. Ryan.
Whoops.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, that was a bad one. But let's see, Brent, you got Antonio Callaway ranked 8th. Kind of another one that's been, could have gone earlier, but
yeah, he just had off-field issues. But the guy, I feel like, is uber talented. And I know it's on the Browns, but they've got a lot more talent this year. He's kind of down the depth chart, but I think he can play his way into a role. And from what I've heard, like he could even push Corey Coleman for some playing time. So we haven't seen a whole lot from Corey Coleman, and I mean Antonio Callaway. They traded up for him, so they like him. But really, the only downside from what I've heard.
Fun fact: that was the first person that we bumped into when we were down in Indy, right, Brent?
Antonio Callaway?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was there. Was he?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
I don't remember. There was a wide receiver, Marcel Aitman.
No, it was somebody. I mean, if it was Callaway, so if there was a second person named Callaway,
okay, maybe it was. I don't know.
Like he was just walking by himself. Like nobody was around him. Like he was in the middle of downtown.
I'll have to go back and look at my records.
There's been some coach speak coming out on him though already, kind of showing it up. He's a baller though. Like the dude's definitely talented. He's just behind Josh Gordon. He's behind Jarvis Landry. Like
a lot going on.
He has
David
to beat
Njoku.
He has to beat Corey Coleman out. Has to for him to have relevance.
Well, man, how fast? Like Corey Coleman started out his first season like amazing, and now we're like actually talking about how he's gonna be on. I don't know. It's crazy. Oh crap! I already lost one. I was looking at it. Barkley will go to the Colts.
Yes.
Well, you won the first one last year too, buddy.
Yeah,
and then you went on to win one more.
Yeah, let's hope. This has got to be my year. I need a free dinner. Look at me. I'm wasting away to nothing. I need free dinners. So, but Callaway, they were talking about him being a first round talent if it wasn't for all the off field stuff. So I don't think there's anything wrong with ranking him high. Alex, you got Dante Pettis from San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean,
overall.
You got to look at opportunity and things like that. I think that he'll have at least an opportunity. And by this point, now you're really just grabbing at the bottom of your dynasty barrel, and you're looking at guys like who could possibly get something. And I think that he has the possibility to at least, there's a lot of things to look at with San Francisco that's a positive. And you have to look at at new players as being a part of that overall, changeover. Because who's actually their number one? I was trying to remember that, and I couldn't.
Pierre Garçon.
Okay, exactly. I mean, I couldn't remember. I thought that it was Pierre Garçon, but then at the same time, I was like, well, did they get rid of him?
He was injured last year.
You can't have any more of a boring number one with your hot shot, new, highest paid player, like You need new talent for him to throw to, and I think that he has a good chance to do that.
Yeah. Brent, what do you think about Pettis? You have him lower on your board by a fair amount.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I just when you get into this kind of range of players, I feel like you can interchange some of these ranks.
Yep.
I haven't studied Pettis a whole lot, but from what I know, like I feel like San Francisco likes the guys that they have above him. They traded up for Pettis though to grab him. I know that, and Garcon, he's very sure-handed. He's got a very low drop rate. He always has in his career, but then they just re-signed Marquise Goodwin to play probably for another 3-4 years, but he's super fast. And then you have Pettis. So I don't know. He has a good opportunity too. I just don't know. There's a lot of question marks surrounding that offense in general, and I just got to kind of feel it out, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to pair up young wide receivers with young quarterbacks, you could do worse than Garoppolo and him. So
I think another thing though is that when you start looking at these guys, there are going to be guys kind of like Callaway that people are going to know the name, and so they're going to overdraft them, and you're going to find these other guys sinking to the very deep depths, and you can scoop these guys up for basically nothing. And I mean, in our league, these are guys that are going in the 4th or 5th round of our rookie drafts. I mean, easily, or completely undrafted. But and we have the ability to stash them on our taxi squad. Is there of these guys that we have left? Is there a guy that you're just like, I would definitely stash this guy?
There's the guy that I love, Kiki Cutie down in Houston.
Such a cutie.
He's such a cutie. I think that he has a chance to beat out Will Fuller in that offense. I think that I think he's fast, he's talented, and he has the opportunity.
I saw him as more of a slot guy.
And I think he is more of a slot guy. Everything I'm hearing and reading about Kiki Kute is he's there. Houston's done with the Braxton Miller experiment is what it's sounding like. And this guy is talented in the slot, super talented, probably like a top 3 or 4 slot guy again. Once again, I keep going back to the slot guys.
There are 8 top 3 slot guys.
But no joke, like these guys are so talented in the slot. They win the mismatches, as the number 3 wide receivers on the field in 3 wide sets. And, like I was saying earlier, in, 2, 3, 4 years, we could be talking about a lot of these guys, as fantasy relevant guys. And Kiki Kute is a very fast slot receiver from what I've heard. And he's way better than Braxton Miller, who is a former quarterback. So I'm just thinking like it could be a good experiment again here with Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins. You can learn tons from those 2 guys. And Will Fuller is a field stretcher. So
is it really pronounced Kute?
Yes.
I've literally never heard a single person, and I've heard his name said on probably like 5 or 6 different podcasts. Cutie. I've only heard it as that, so that's my bad.
It could be. That's how I've heard it, I guess. But
I'll have to look into it.
It's like Kamara and Kamara. Like,
yeah.
Kute sounds way cooler.
Kiki Kute.
Anyways, we're gonna say something about him, Alex.
My only thing is that again, we're talking about a 3rd wide receiver, and I'm not loving. I don't know. Houston, I'm not sure about. I don't know how else to say it. Because I'm just not sure.
With Houston, we've had such a small sample size, but it's been fantastic with Deshaun Watson. So it's like we don't know if that trend is going to continue with him or if people are going to catch on real quick. And it's an interesting offense to kind of keep your eye on and see what's going to happen. But
yeah. But like you said, like he is a fantastic slot wide receiver. At least that's how he projects out. And they've got a hole for that in their offense. And even not necessarily like taking, Will Fuller's spot, because Will Fuller, like you said, is a field stretcher, but taking that production away, I think that there's a hole there to where he could produce and be useful even this year and be a weapon that, Deshaun Watson needs and could use. DeAndre Hopkins is great, sees so many targets, but they could use a good slot wide receiver. That's why they tried Braxton Miller there. I think that's what they want to do.
Yeah, but, he may move up my my rankings. I like him that much that I might move him up.
How about you, Alex? You got a guy that you're kind of looking at?
One guy that I'm looking at is Jaleel Scott, Baltimore Ravens. And honestly, the real reason why, there's got to be a wide receiver that does well there, right? Like, at some point, there has to be a wide receiver that is good in Baltimore. And I mean, he could be a touchdown machine. I've seen different things where he's 6'5" or 6'6". He's tall. I mean, he's a little, I guess he's a little undersized for how tall he is, 215. But there's just nothing there. And so it leaves the door wide open for a big-bodied guy to come in there. And he's not super fast, but if he can just get in there and start making plays, he could easily be a number one wide receiver without really trying. So it's not so much that I'm completely in love with him as a player. I'm just in love with his situation because Baltimore cannot find a wide receiver to save their life. So I wouldn't mind rolling the dice on a guy at the very end of a draft that could catch two passes and already be better than half the wide receiving core,
Yeah, that's like you said, there's definitely opportunity there. Brent, looking at your list of guys, is there anybody there that you see jumping out at you?
I do have one more my guy, and you can get him pretty much at the very end of most drafts. His name's Simi Cobbs, and he's a Washington Redskins wide receiver. Really, the depth chart for Washington doesn't blow your mind. They've got Jamison Crowder, who's going to take up a lot of receptions, but he's primarily a slot guy. Jordan Reed's always hurt. You've got Chris Thompson catching passes out of the backfield. Josh Doxson, he's got upside, but really he hasn't brought it all together yet. Like, this guy has an opportunity, and I heard one comp of Odell Beckham, and I went back and looked at some tape of him, and I was like, yeah, he's got some talent like Odell Beckham, making one-handed spectacular catches, winning the 50-50 jump balls. He's a very big red zone guy from what I've seen. So I like his opportunity. I love his size. He's a fast guy too. So I don't know. He's got the size speed combination with the spectacular catchability, I think. And I think he's a guy to keep your eye on. He's on my radar for sure.
Absolutely. And he's in Washington. There is a spot there for somebody to come out of it. Paul Richardson, but
yeah, I didn't mention him for a reason.
I mean, I honestly, one of the issues that I'm gonna say that I have with him, it has nothing to do with him, but it has everything to do with the quarterback. I mean, Alex Smith, I think we're coming off of a fluke year. And with him being an undrafted rookie, he's going to need to get a rapport really quick. And my one worry is that even though his measurables are there, I don't know if he makes the team simply because I don't think he'll be able to get a rapport with what Alex Smith has. And that's kind of the same reason why I didn't throw out Auden Tate, 7th rounder. He's behind quite a few people. So, that's an issue. Now, I like, as far as wide receiving core, I like Cobbs way better. Well,
and that's the thing. Like, Washington's wide receiver core right now, they're history shows they've been injury prone, other than
Yeah.
Jamison Crowder. Doxson was hurt his rookie year. Jordan Reed's always hurt. Chris Thompson went out with injury last year. Paul Richardson has been historically injury prone.
And terrible.
I'm just saying, if the cards fall right, he could have that opportunity and really show his stuff, I think. And Alex Smith isn't one to take risks. So maybe he's not good for that offense, but I don't know. I like his talent, though.
I mean, he does have, good measurables and things like that.
Yeah. And that's, it's a name. I live down here in Indianapolis, and I got to watch quite a few IU games last year. So he's definitely talented. So
who do you think, if you just like right off the top of your head, who do you think could be the biggest bust of these guys?
Ooh. Biggest bust? Gallup. Like I could see him just being complete trash. Just not panning out at all in a situation that's not the best. Dak Prescott isn't the most talented quarterback in the NFL for sure. That's saying it nicely.
I'm gonna go with my number one guy, Calvin Ridley.
See, I don't know, Brent.
I mean, mine would be DJ Shark, just based on where he went and the draft capital they put in him.
What a safe answer.
I'm not big on him at all.
Get ready. Shark Attack. I mean, seriously, like that name, we didn't even get to
but it's
Jameer
not Shark.
Aquarius
It's
Brown.
Shark.
Oh, it's Shark.
No.
It's Shark. Okay, it's Shark.
Yeah, and Michael Gallup could be galloping his way all the way to the end zone on a lot of these weeks too.
That's
I know,
boring.
pretty lame. But
Cowboy
a lot of these names.
Oh, fuck.
I'm just saying.
No.
It's
I like
gonna get
it.
crazy.
I like it. But I think that's going to be it for this episode, guys. I think that we talked about enough of these wide receivers, and there's a bunch of them after whatever. Even the whole group is bundled all up. You know what I mean? It's pretty much all right there. Even the top guys, you could see them slipping down, and somebody could make their way up. But we appreciate you guys stopping out and listening. You can follow us on Twitter. It's 4 Horsemen Pod. Send us emails, 4horsemenpod@gmail.com. We'll be back the week after next, probably. We're starting to put together our actual rankings. So we'll start diving into those. Maybe do another draft coming up here. But
I want to do another one.
Yeah, we'll
sexy.
It was fun. But we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. Peace.